Alright, so the customer wants 3 zones of climate and some outdoor information like a weather station for his outdoor seedlings. In this case, he wants an output box just to trigger a frost irrigation. So when you get frost, what they do is they just like turn the water on basically. So rather than him monitoring the water and going there and trying to turn it on and then it doesn't actually get a frost and he soaks everything for no reason, that kind of stuff, the Autogrow system will actually calculate when there's a frost based on his specific weather conditions on his side, and then it can trigger an output for him. He's fundamentally against control. He hates it. So this system's just going to monitor all these kind of temperatures, and the only thing it's going to control is that little frost output. Okay. So what we'll do is
multi-grow or mini-grow?
Multi-grow, Autogrow, multi-grow. So we open up this, which is the template version 1.6. When this comes up, just click Don't Update. That's fine. Okay. So there's a bunch of information we need to fill in here. Okay. And all this information, depending on what we select and what we write up here, that will then fill out this form here, which is what we can give to the customer that's in a presentable format with pictures that we can drag in there as well and that kind of stuff. So the first thing we need is an actual quote number. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in, we're going to quote, and it's a project quote. So we use that whenever a customer has to sign for something. It's always a project. If they want 2 parts and they're going to pay up front for it, then you can use service. But most of the stuff we'll use as project. The customer's name is the Seedling Factory. Let's just see how we go. No, how about the Seedling? Cool, the Seedling Factory. Cool, the site. This is for his new site. Customer, Ben's the customer. Okay? Then we go next. I'm going to put in here multi-grow control system. Oh, I'll just put multi-grow system because he doesn't like control. And I'll put here, yeah, it doesn't really matter. I'll just put multi-grow system, that's fine. But I don't often put a description, you don't need to. Then it says add a cost center, okay? I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to put here controls, okay? Because it's greenhouse controls that we're doing. Okay, that's all added now. As soon as I click save, when Simpro figures itself out, I now have here a quote number, 948. So I can go back to my spreadsheet, and down here it will ask me what is the quote number. So I'm going to put 948. Quote name, I'm going to put seed fact for the seed factory, seedling factory. You don't want it to be like too long, otherwise it just ends up massive. Postfix version 1. Okay, that's now given me a name to save this as. So rather than typing all that out again, what I like to do is I just like to go copy and then paste values. Once you go paste values, you can just grab that and use that as the name. So I'm going to go desktop, save as. Oh, that didn't work properly. What? Control Z not working. Yeah. Let's just start that again. Okay. So what was it? 948. 948. Seed fact. Postfix version 1. Cool, let's try that again. See, there's the formula there, so I can't just copy that. So or I can't just, save it as that. So, but if you go paste with values, then whatever's in it, that's what it does. So let's just try that again. So I might just take that comma out of it as well. Copy, file, save as, desktop. There we go, much better. and you want to use a macro-enabled workbook because this has little things in it that allow you to do different stuff. So we can click set date. So that's one of the things that those macros do. I can just set date and then it magically over here, sorts it out. Let's change it to Alistair McLean as the sales representative. Okay, company. What I'm going to do now is go back to here. This is the main quote page. I'm going to click on here, the seedling factory. I can get all the details out of here. So, company is the seedling factory. Okay. Contact is, his name's Ben. Address is city, WA, state is WA. What does it say here? Hope Valley is the area. Hope Valley, postcode, that's here too. Cool, contact, I'm going to put Ben. What I can do actually, I think, I can go to contacts. Okay, so that's his full name. So if we go here to there, cool. So I've got company name, contact, address, blah, 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 blah. Our discussion is a quotation, supply only at this stage without any installation, freight to site included. Yeah, that's fine. 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah, that's probably one to 1.5 months it might take to get it there. Yep. We'll call it multi-grow monitoring system. I'm always paranoid I've spelled things wrong, so I can do this. Oh, I actually spelled multi-grow wrong. Cool. Good times. Okay, here's where we're going to write a whole bunch of stuff about what we've quoted, but we're going to do that after we've quoted it, because if we write it now, we might quote something else and then go, So, in this case, we've got 2 options, a 12-inch with touch panel, like a touchscreen multi-grow, or one without any screen at all. In his case, I'm going to do, in most cases, unless the customer is really up with technology, I always quote them at one with the screen because it's just less hassle. Cool. Well, he's got 3 compartments here, so he's going to need 3 sensors. Okay. So here it says enviro sensor, standard temp, relative humidity, and solar. That's what we always use. 3 of those. Okay, weather. I'm going to give him a full weather station so he knows everything that's going on outside. So we're going to do a weather box with temp, rain, pressure, and interface for solar and wind. Okay. So now we have to go solar sensor as well, which will connect into that. An RS485 solar sensor, you can connect completely independently. If you don't want to have a weather station, you can just use that solar sensor instead. But in this case, we do have a weather station, which is why we're using this part here. So these 2 go together. That's if you want just a separate solar sensor. That's why it says suitable for hydro only. Okay. Then we also need wind direction sensors. That's probably about it. That's a rain intensity sensor. I don't think he's going to need it. We'll let him do his own masts and stuff because he's pretty handy. That's fine.
So what operates the frost sensor? Is there anything special?
No, it's just the sensors will detect when there's a frost.
Okay. It's not specialised sensor.
No, nothing like that. So then this is all for nutrient stuff. He doesn't want any nutrients, so we'll go right past that. But this is basically a little sensor box for a EC kind of like it's an EC interface, and then you can get a 2 meter EC probe or a 5 meter EC probe with it, and a pH electrode if you want it. This moisture stuff we don't really use at the moment, so don't really worry about that. Okay, temperature. This is if you want to have like a temperature probe, either on a heater or in a grow bed or something. Again, we're not doing that at the moment, so he might want that later actually. It could be interesting. He doesn't heat anything, so maybe not. Okay, output boxes. Now he said that he wanted one output box to trigger the frost thing. So we need one output box. Now there's two options. One is the paired outputs, which you would have seen at AGT. Okay. The other one is the single outputs. We only use paired outputs for vents and screens. He doesn't want to control vents and screens, so the easiest one is just a single output box. Okay.
Yep.
Done. Okay, let's keep going down. Cool, so he's going to need a power supply for this thing. So let's have a look. Let's have a look. So there is either a 2 amp power supply or a 6 amp power supply.
So one's for climate and dosage, and one's for fertigation.
Yeah,
So
let's have a
would
look.
it be the first one then, if he's not fertigating?
Autogrow power supply. I think these are the ones that we use. Yeah, because the ones that are greyed out you generally don't use.
Yeah, sure.
We like to provide our own power supplies rather than Autogrow ones.
Yep.
So these are the ones that we use. So we've got AC 4 amp. That sounds pretty good to me because he's going to have an AC solenoid to turn on this thing.
Okay.
Solenoids aren't DC. 4 amps is sufficient current as well. You wouldn't want like a 1 amp one because it's got to power all the sensors and turn on the solenoid
How
valve.
much amps does it usually draw?
A solenoid valve?
No, the whole system.
Each little thing, like each little sensor box, draws about 500 milliamps.
Okay.
So we've got a weather station, 3 climate sensors, so that's 2 amps there, plus a solenoid valve, shouldn't be over 1 amp, so 4 amps should be about enough in this case. Enclosures, you know those little enclosures that we had at AGT? Little boxes that the sensor, the output boxes go in. So I'm going to give him one of those as well. So we need water resistant single output expander. There's only one output box. We could use the dual one, like you can fit 2 of them in there if we were quoting 2 output boxes. Okay, now we get to the software section. So this is a multi-grow operating system. We always need to quote one of those. Okay. The only time we don't is when we use it for what we call a single-use application, which is when they might just control fans only, for example, and only have one compartment. So whenever if we're going to give a discount and discount the operating system, we have to basically call Autogrow and say, this is what they're doing, what do you reckon? And they'll say, yeah, just discount it, or they'll say, no, he needs to pay for it, kind of thing. The thing about that, which gets tricky, is if they then go to 2 compartments, they then have to pay for it. So if it's more simple just to have it in an upfront cost, if he's not too stingy, the guy, then just put it in there, you know what I mean? If you reckon the guy's never going to pay for it and the multi-grow is going to be too expensive, then we call Autogrow and say, what do you reckon, kind of thing. Okay, so we don't need to pay for any compartment software because he's actually just monitoring things. Okay, so normally we would say, okay, simple compartment, and there'd have to be 1 for each. So in this case, it'd be 3 compartments. Okay, but he's not actually controlling anything, so he doesn't need to pay for the compartment software. There is some monitoring software that he can pay for, just to monitor the climate sensor. You can see other things in here, like if he had vents, you have to put one of those in. If he's got 2 vents, then you put 2 of them. If he's got 10 compartments with 1 vent in each compartment, it's 10 vents. You know what I mean? Heating on-off, like an on-off heater, all different fogging. It's fairly self-explanatory. Half fans, however many things that outputs they want to turn on for different things. You have to just put
And it's depending on how they're configured, then, aren't they? Like how he's running the fan, how many groups of fans he's got.
Yeah. So if he's running 2 separate groups of fans that need 2 separate outputs, then that's 2 fans. Think of it like outputs, really, more than anything. Cool. So we keep going down, and I'll see if I can find. That's the Cravo software. If you want to get it to control a Cravo, not very common. This is the software for fertigation, dosing channels. Each fert system they have to get one of these. Then they might have 4 dosing channels, so we give them 4 of these. Dosing channels, not injection channels. The number of recipes, number of irrigation valves. Trigger groups, what that is like a start program. So to start the irrigation, how many different starts do they want to have? That kind of stuff. Filter flushes, all sorts of things. Okay, monitoring software, here we go. So individual envirosensors. We're going to put 3 of those. He's going to monitor 3 sensors. Okay, that's all he needs to pay for because that's all he's doing. Okay, subscription, $1 per day to get all the alarms and to be able to log into your Multigrow. That's like a service that Autogrow provide. So we put one of those. They pay for it yearly. Cool. There's some other things like some bits and bobs like power plants kind of stuff that we've put down here that sometimes we quote with it. But yeah, in this case we don't need to. Okay, cable. He will need cable. I'm just going to put. I sort of know the approximate distances, so I'll put. Let me think. I don't know where he's going to actually have it. He might put it in the shed, or he might have it in one of the greenhouses. Actually, so for now, I just won't quote cable. I just tell him what type of cable needed. I'm not going to quote any commissioning or any labour at this stage. We always need to charge for freight and duty clearance. So international freight and duty clearance, and then local freight as well. So all the freight's covered. Okay, perfect. So this is our total. Okay, 13,000 for the whole system. If I then go to quote, okay, you can see it's automatically filled all these things in for me. I don't want it to say revised quotation though, so let's go back up here. I don't know where it says that, so I'm just going to look for revised. Oh, you got it? Cool, thanks. Cool. Quote. That's now fixed. Quotation. Multigrow monitoring system for the seedling factory. Attention Ben, this is the date. This is the quote reference. Cool. This is about it, okay? Let's go and fix that up. So we go in here, and one annoying thing about this is that you can't, as soon as I try and press enter here, if I want to put a space, it just goes to the next thing. So what I've found, a little workaround, is I just grab all that stuff and I put it in Word. Cool. So I'll put here, this is a proposal for a multi-grow system to monitor climate conditions in 3 houses and outdoor. And outdoors probably better. An output box has provisions have been included to trigger an output for a frost condition. Cool. Autogrow systems includes hardware, 1 times touch screen multi-grow. Multi-grow, M-U-L-T-I grow. Yep, cool. 3 enviro sensors, 1 single output expander, 1 times water resistant box for single output expander.
And where it says manual override 10 single units, is that correct?
This is, yeah, so each box has 10 outputs.
Okay.
I'll put here, there will be 9 remaining outputs which can be used later for other purposes. Cool. So if we copy that, let's just see how it looks. Go back to here. Cool, looks pretty good to me. Software, let's just do the same. Oopsie. So grab all that stuff, put it in Word. Cool, software. Multi-grow. 1 times multi-grow operating system. So it's 3 times monitoring software for, everyone's using caps, software for greenhouses. 1 times irrigation valves, which I actually haven't put in, so I'm going to go back because I just remembered that. Cool. I'm not sure if that's the best thing to use, to be honest, but we'll sort it out later once he's like keen to actually do it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Cool. Full times. Cool. Full times irrigation. I might just put 1 trigger group in there as well. Trigger groups. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Cool. Obviously. Back to my Excel sheet. No. Yeah, there you go. 1 times trigger groups. 1 year's subscription for remote login, text/email alarms, and full controller backup settings. Cool. Cool, so network control cable we charge additionally. And note this is supply only. Cool.
So what about in terms of labour? Do you put labour costs into this sort of quoting or not?
No. Oh, I'm in the quote page. A guy in Western Australia is going to install it.
You're going to go to the other one?
Yeah, I'm just retarded. Come on. There we go. No, cancel. You have to double click until you actually get a cursor. There we go. Okay, so now we go here. Cool. Revise blah, 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 blah. This is what you're getting for your hardware, software, blah, blah, blah. Not included. There must be a little not included section here. Not included. Labour, that's correct. Installation, correct. Supply of cable, correct. Modules on. Modules is not really relevant in this case. Yeah.
Oh, GPOs.
Yeah. GST, cool. Oh, it does include GST, so fuck that. Okay, 50% on order, 50% delivery of goods to site, that's all good. Quote. Okay, so now we've got all this part right, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't, probably put on here often. So what you do is you go, this is like a massive spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. So by just going, clicking show, that shows every single thing that you can possibly quote. Yeah. Okay. And then by going hide, it hides every single one that we haven't selected. So now this is perfect. This is exactly what we've done. Multi-role controller, envirosensors 3 of, the weather station, 1 output box, power supply, enclosure for the box, operating system. That's a bug. I don't know what's wrong there, so I'm just going to go like that. So you can't see it. Just made it white, the text. Cool, triggered group, 1 irrigation valve, 3 envirosensor software for monitoring, 1 year subscription, local freight, import freight. Okay? That's a pretty good quote. I don't want to see all the prices though. We very often don't do that. So all I'm going to do is go down here and make everything white. Cool, now we can't see it, and instead I'm going to put some pretty pictures here. Cool, there's a multi-grow. There's an enviro sensor. I might put the multi-grow up here actually. Just see how it looks later. Oops. No, we put it down here. You just kind of just drag and drop these until it looks nice. This doesn't really fit in.
Can you shrink it?
Oh yeah. Might go like that just to break it up a bit. There's an output box.
So it's only just having one of them.
I might, because it says subscription, I might just put that picture down there.
Yeah.
Cool. Happy days. Just save our quote. File. Save as. Desktop. PDF. Save. Okay, here's your quote. Let's just double check everything's right. Autogrow system, blah, 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 3 outdoors, yep. Provisions, yep, cool. Hardware, software. It's mostly just the layout, you know, just check that everything's legit. That all looks pretty good. Cool. There's the price. Okay. Now, one thing I have to do, because this is going through a reseller, I actually have to put the price up. Because we add 10% and then give the reseller a 20% discount.
So who's the reseller?
A guy called Ronan in Western Australia. What if I go minus 10? That doesn't work. It doesn't have minuses. So if I go 10, minus 10. Oh, it does work. Okay? So that's all done.
You just took 10%.
So I've just 10% on everything.
Took it off.
No, I put 10% on.
I thought you said minus 10.
Yeah, okay, so this is a discount. Okay, so if I put 10% discount, price goes down.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah?
So
If I put minus 10%, price goes up.
Yeah, okay.
Bit of a mindfuck.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's everything. Quite expensive.
Yeah. It's very, really just monitoring the
Yep.
alignment, and that's it.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. That 10% doesn't help, you know?
I'm surprised at the cost of how much individual software for so many different, like...
Yeah,
you know,
it's priced per piece of equipment, per software
yeah,
as well.
It's nuts.
Cool. File. Save as. Whoops. File. Save. So we'll just go save as PDF again. You've already done it. Yes, I do want to replace it. Cool. Quote done. Let's go to Andrew sent him an email a little while ago. Hi Ben, please see attached quote for a multi-grow system to monitor your multi-grow system to monitor and graph 3 greenhouses, all outdoor weather conditions, trigger a frost irrigation. Let's actually attach it. and then I'll say there is a local installer who is familiar with this product who would be happy to install and support. If you are interested.
So did we put in any of the irrigation software then? I know history.
No, it's a really basic. All he's doing is he's just triggering one output on and off. There's no water system. There's no like that kind of stuff. So I just put a bit of irrigation stuff in there. No, it's like a really kind of basic system. It would be a shame to charge him the same price as what we do for like a water system, which is like an MT400, just to do that. So if you are interested, thanks. Oh, I've done it twice. So we can crack. Cool. We can we always recommend to keep the cool. Cool, sent. Okay, but that's not where it stops. So we're now going to go back into our thing because there's no info in here at the moment. So what we'll do is we'll go into our cost center. Oopsie. And we're going to put in the price here. So what was the final price? Can we put it without the GST? So the price is
without GSTs. Is that what you said?
no. There's a little bit of a fuck up on here, because you know that discount thing. 14975. 14975.
Is he going to get two prices then? When he's quoting it like that?
It's going to look exactly the same. Like that's what I sent him. So I'll just have to explain to him that there's like I don't know, something in here that doesn't add up properly or whatever if he asks. So, but the total down here is clear, Save, cool. So now there's a price in there.
Yeah. Can you attach the PDF in there?
Yes. So now we go to attachments. This is under the main quote. We're back to the main quote. Drag and drop. Cool. That's all done.
So that spreadsheet that you've got there, do you only have that for Autogrow?
Nah, there's other spreadsheets for different customers and different products and.
So do you ever actually use just the
just Simpro? Yeah, sometimes. If I'm quoting a maximizer, I can do it off Simpro. But the thing is, Simpro doesn't give you a nice quote like this, with pictures, everything explained nicely.
Right.
I'll show you a Simpro quote. Um, uh, this is a Simpro quote. Yeah, a little bit different.
Okay.
So if someone wants something really quickly, they just want a price, needs to be done this week, I do it in Simpro.
Can you take out the quantity there in Simpro or not?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, the prices you already have.
Yeah, already have.
Yeah, okay.
So, and you can just write notes. So if I go back to my quote that I just did, I can go here and I can type in some info, like the same sort of info as what we put on here. Let's see, go to quote, info page. So I can take this kind of stuff up here and copy that in there. Okay, and then when I go to, if I want to now look at this as a quote, I can go to Forms, Quote. You've got different options. Itemize with prices. I usually just use quote itemized. I find that the best. Quote itemized, view PDF. There's your Simpro quote. So you can put anything in Simpro and then just write about it, and it will show up like this. Which at least you've got a description about what you're talking about. You know what I mean? But
They want to see it.
Yeah.
Up and what they get.
Yeah. But it takes a lot longer, and some of the tools I can't use. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't use the one for Autogrow, for example. So it just sort of depends. Like mini grow is not a high value item, so there's no point in quoting it, like spending all this time quoting it. Whereas a multi grow, $16,000, yeah, I don't mind spending half an hour quoting it. So you just kind of got to weigh it up. Take that info out. Cool. Save. Cool. Oh, the other thing we do, which I forgot, is we put the Excel sheet in there as well. And the only reason is because if I'm away now in Western Australia, I need Marcus to make one small change because the growers asked for it, but I can't get internet, then Marcus can do that. So I'll attach that as well. So all you do is just drop it in there. Once it's done, you have to click save, otherwise it just deletes it immediately. And that's about it. Any other questions?
What's a Simpro?
When we quote something else, then what I'll do is I'll get you to have a crack at it. I'll email this to you now as well. Quote tool for multi-grow.
So all those Excel spreadsheets that you've got for that, do you just have them on yours, or is there? Can you access them?
They're on the server. Yeah, they are on the server, but you have to sort of know. I'll show you briefly. Cool. P drive, sales and client info. No, this is so messed up. Templates it is. Templates. Sales and client info. Quote templates, and this is everything that we have templates for. So if we go to Autogrow, Marcus hasn't put the most recent one in there. Do I have it? Yes. Copy. Paste. It'll take a while. Okay, so I'm going to end the video.